Most people today, sadly, when they think of Islam, especially in the United States, they have still these negative connotations because they haven't had the experience of the unique experience of the Gulen movement. In today's world, it's absolutely essential that we engage Muslims and Christians particularly, but Muslims and Jews, Muslims and everyone else, engage in interreligious dialogue. My name is Father Alexi. I'm a Catholic priest, and I'm not only a pastor of a congregation here, parish here in Los Angeles, but I also work for the Archdiocese as the ecumenical and interreligious officer for the Archdiocese. What does that mean? That means I direct the Catholic Church's relations with all other faiths here in Los Angeles, both ecumenically with our fellow Christians and interreligiously with non-Christians. Pope Francis, in his recent apostolic exhortation, The Joy of the Gospel, speaks in a certain section of that document on interreligious dialogue. And he points out specifically things about Islam and things about Judaism. And in the section about Islam, he talks about authentic Islam, an Islam which would abhor violence and be open to dialogue. And this is precisely what I see in the Hizmet movement, and certainly in my readings of the teachings of Fethullah Gulen. My understanding that Hizmet means in Turkish service, right? And that's one of the things I really appreciate about the movement, is the amount of service you do, not only to your fellow Muslims, but to all of us. And the whole aspect then of interreligious dialogue, and certainly education and learning. Interreligious dialogue is absolutely essential today in all parts of the world. It's important that we learn about each other and learn from each other. I read in, I think it's in Mr. Gulen's book, Faith and Tolerance. I was intrigued by love and tolerance. I don't usually use the word tolerance. For me, tolerance is a negative term, meaning I'll put up with you. But that's not the way that I've come to understand Mr. Gulen uses the term tolerance. He talks about let your heart be as tolerant as the wide open ocean. And that indicates to me an openness to allowing the other to enrich you as you enrich them. And that's the perfect definition, I think, of interreligious dialogue. And I certainly see this as a prominent feature of his teachings. And then certainly learning. I'm a great advocate of interreligious learning, where we learn from one another. You as a Muslim learn from me as a Catholic. I as a Catholic learn from you as a Muslim. And this is where certainly all of the vast network of schools sponsored by the Hizmet movement come into play so wonderfully. I think that Hizmet, amongst the Islamic organizations, movements and such, seems to epitomize that triangle or that triad of service, dialogue, and education. I have appreciated my visits with your charitable organizations there in Turkey itself, and to learn how the Hizmet movement has taken its mouth, if you will, and put it into action in service to others throughout the world. In Haiti, which is a Catholic country after the tremendous earthquake there, the amount of service that you rendered there. That's a stellar example of people of different religions recognizing the basic humanity of one another, setting aside religious differences, concentrating on working together for the betterment of humanity. Look at the Philippines, where you have schools where there are sometimes misunderstandings between Catholics and Muslims there. But when you have Catholics and Muslims studying together in the same school, learning about each other from each other, this is very hopeful for the future. And that's what I see the Hizmet movement, bringing hope. Most people today, sadly, when they think of Islam, especially in the United States, they have still these negative connotations because they haven't had the experience of the unique experience of the Gulen movement.